You are 16 years old. The deafening roar of the brass foundries in Small Heath vibrates through the cobblestone streets of 1920s Birmingham. The freezing air smells intensely of sulfur, cheap gin, and the sharp, metallic tang of industrial rust. You are standing in the muddy alleyway behind the local pub, listening to the relentless, rhythmic hammering of the factory drop forges. You are watching the factory workers queue up to place their illegal bets on the weekend horse races. You are calculating the exact percentage of the take required to bribe the local constabulary. You are measuring the precise ratio of gang muscle to rival bookmakers on the street. You are estimating the structural blind spots in the local police patrols with terrifying accuracy, breaking it down to the exact seconds required to execute a targeted slashing without being spotted by the night watch. A drop of freezing, soot-stained rain falls onto the brim of your tweed flat cap. You do not blink to shake it off. You take a small piece of chalk from your wool trousers and enter an updated betting tally on the side of a brick wall. This is where the criminal empire anchors its foundations. Not in a sprawling country estate or a velvet-lined parliamentary office in London. It begins right here, shivering in the toxic smog, dissecting the mathematical value of the working-class gambling addiction. It begins when you stop looking at the factory workers as exhausted men and start categorizing them entirely as tactical liabilities or exploitable assets. You're tracking the coppers too closely. A low, shivering voice murmurs from the shadows to your left. It is your childhood friend, a young stable boy who was dragged into the gang's lower ranks. He is sitting on an overturned wooden crate, nervously bouncing his knee. He refuses to look at the betting queue. Instead, he stares obsessively at a small, rusted straight razor with a cracked bone handle. His father gave it to him before dying of black lung in the mines. He rubs his thumb incessantly over the dull side of the blade. The gesture is constant. It anchors his anxiety in the sheer, violent chaos of the Birmingham slums. "Just collect the slips and let's get back to the stables," the boy whispers, slipping the straight razor back into the lining of his cap. "We tolerate the mud for one more year, just one. Then we save enough shillings. We buy a legitimate train ticket out of the Midlands. We breathe clean air. We sleep without checking the locks." You nod silently. But deep inside your cognitive architecture, the framework of dominion is already compounding. 1 year? There is no train ticket in this machine. There is only the muddy gutter where you bleed out from a rival gang's blade, and the velvet-lined betting ring where you dictate who controls the racing tracks of England. You perceive with absolute chilling clarity that the alleyway is the bottom of the ocean, and the only mathematically acceptable trajectory is a violent surge toward the absolute summit of the criminal underworld. Level 1. The bookmaker's runner, the expendable asset. For the first 4 years, your existence is exclusively physical and entirely disposable. You are the lowest operational unit. A runner. A boy in a tweed cap acting as the gang's blunt instrument and designated scapegoat across the poverty-stricken neighborhoods. Your world is reduced to collecting pennies from desperate factory workers, delivering extortion demands to local shopkeepers, and acting as the physical buffer between the gang's heavy enforcers and the rival Italian syndicates. You learn the operational syntax of compliance, the geometry of intimidation. If a rival runner looks at your territory for exactly 3 seconds too long outside a pub, his confidence algorithm is building. He is testing the boundary. You calculate the trajectory of his psychological disobedience like plotting structural stress points on a suspended bridge. The stable boy is always assigned to your collection routes. He works the same brutal 12-hour shifts, navigating the dangerous slums but his internal processing is critically flawed. He operates on human sentiment. When you confront an elderly pub landlord who is failing to pay his protection debt due to a slow week, the boy averts his eyes. Sometimes, he secretly uses his own cut of the betting money to cover the landlord's deficit so the old man doesn't get his windows smashed. You document this action and record the structural vulnerability it creates. Sentiment is a catastrophic software bug within the gang's infrastructure. Sentiment introduces chaotic variables into a system that relies entirely on the cold, inflexible geometry of fear. If the community realizes the gang possesses mercy, the psychological authority of the entire racketeering operation degrades. The machine begins to rust. It is a suffocatingly dense Tuesday morning in November. A thick, toxic yellow fog has rolled over Small Heath, reducing visibility in the streets to almost zero. You are stationed outside a blind spot near the rival bookmaker's pitch. The gang leaders have ordered a violent territorial expansion. The stable boy is supposed to throw a Molotov cocktail through the rival's window to initiate the assault, but he is staring at the rusted straight razor in his hand, paralyzing himself over the morality of burning the rival's livelihood to the ground. He completely misses the crucial 10-second timing window. You do not hesitate. You sprint toward the glass window, grab the burning bottle yourself, and hurl the explosive with a brutal, mechanical efficiency, incinerating the rival betting shop exactly 4 seconds before the rival muscle floods out into the fog. "You're not the same," the boy tells you the following evening in the smoky back room of the pub, his hands shaking around a pint of ale. He grips the razor fiercely. "You didn't even flinch when the glass shattered. You look at this entire city like it's just a grid on a map." "Grids don't bleed," you reply in a flat, clinical tone, wiping a speck of soot from your heavy boots. "Flesh bleeds, and flesh dies when it hesitates while staring at an old, rusted piece of metal." The boy stiffens visibly. He places the straight razor on the wooden table between you. This is the first time he has voluntarily surrendered the object from his operational space. You watch the dim, incandescent light bounce off the cracked bone handle. The psychological schism is widening irrevocably. Level 2. The garrison commander, the enforcer. The elevation occurs on a freezing evening in January. The gang's leadership has audited your flawless efficiency. You are no longer running betting slips in the mud. You are enforcing the syndicate's will across the racing tracks and the factories. You are the tactical garrison commander. A fully loaded Webley revolver and a razor sewn securely into your own cap replace the chalk and the pennies. Violence is no longer a chaotic street brawl. It is an organized, corporate protocol. Your tactical induction happens in the soundproofed, velvet-draped private room of the Garrison pub. The gang's boss sits casually in a leather armchair, smoking a cigarette. The stable boy is waiting outside the door, keeping watch. He was deemed too emotionally volatile for the promotion. This marks the first institutional segregation in your parallel timelines. The boss slides a heavy accounting ledger across the table and points to a rival union leader bound to a chair in the corner. You do not feel anger toward the union leader. You do not feel blind loyalty to the gang boss. You simply calculate the density of the subject's resolve, the required kinetic force, and the exact physical leverage needed to ensure absolute compliance to halt the factory strikes without sparking a citywide police crackdown. You deliver the strike with your cap. The sound is a sickening, wet slash echoing against the wood paneling. But internally, within your neural matrix, it registers as nothing more than confirming an administrative checkbox on a digital spreadsheet. From that second forward, The operating system is overwritten. You are the architect. You begin operating out of the premium betting rings, hoarding illegal whiskey shipments, police bribes, and massive leverage. The scent of mud and sulfur is replaced by the smell of high-class tobacco and tailored suits. You do not fight with your fists in the alleyways anymore. You execute strategic financial initiatives. When a lucrative smuggling route along the canals is encroached upon by an ambitious new gang from London, you do not organize a messy public shootout. You optimize their environment. You manipulate the corrupt local constabulary to conduct a targeted raid on the London gang's warehouses on a Friday night, bankrupting their stash and sending them to prison in 48 hours. You starve their resources mathematically. The stable boy is formally assigned to your protection task force. He is technically a permanent soldier now, but he carries out your directives with a visible, sickening reluctance. When you instruct your men to permanently silence a reporter who threatened to expose the gang's ties to the local magistrate, the boy trembles, holding the weapon. You watch him step back in horror when the reality of the murder sinks in. You step forward, adjust your posture to ensure maximum stability, and execute the protocol yourself. You don't feel frustration toward your former partner. Frustration is inefficient. You merely categorize him as a depreciating operational asset within your organizational hierarchy. You begin compartmentalizing him. Small logistical quarantines. You stop inviting him to high-level extortion negotiations at the racetracks. When assigning enforcement duties, you station him strictly on vehicular surveillance near the shipping docks, where the probabilities of him inflicting structural damage to the operation are statistically lowest. You are keeping him alive, but purely as a risk mitigation strategy. When do we wake up from this nightmare? The boy asks you one evening, standing by the canal overlooking the distant, glowing sparks of the steel mills. The rusted razor is squeezed so tightly in his palm that it cuts his skin. We control the city now. We have the leverage. I can afford the train ticket tomorrow. Let's walk away tonight. The gang doesn't have an exit protocol outside of a wooden box, you state mechanically, checking police rotation schedules on your encrypted notes with blind precision. Any attempt to forcibly extract a component from a working engine results in the engine tearing itself apart. Your partner looks at you with a desperation that you find entirely illogical. He is fundamentally failing to comprehend the aerodynamics of apex survival. Level 3. The syndicate boss, the apex predator. By the time you turn 42, you exist entirely as an institutional phantom. You are the syndicate boss, the absolute ruler of the criminal industry in the Midlands. You no longer manage pub brawls or underground gambling rings. You manage institutional and political sovereignty. You don't speak to street enforcers or corrupt police sergeants. You whisper to members of parliament, vast shipping magnates, and international distillers. Your weapon of choice is silence, immense leverage, and a terrifying, unblinking composure. You have transcended physical brutality. The concept of swinging a razor yourself is absurd, an agonizingly poor allocation of your strategic bandwidth. Instead, you orchestrate psychological and financial devastation on a national scale. When a reformist politician proposes legislation that threatens your export supply chains, you do not order a messy street assassination. Assassinations attract the military and Scotland Yard lockdowns. Instead, you access the politician's personal financial records through a compromised banking executive in London. You deposit huge sums of untraceable foreign currency into an offshore account under his wife's name. You leak the transaction records to the hostile national press. You sit in your sprawling, luxurious country estate, watching the politician's career reputation, and entire life disintegrate on the front page of the newspapers. No bloodshed, no chaotic variables, a pristine, sanitized neutralization. The empathy matrix has been completely formatted from your neural pathways. You do not sleep. You analyze variables into the night. You do not eat for pleasure. You consume raw data to optimize your political decision-making. You occasionally remember a shivering boy standing in a muddy alleyway, analyzing the betting cues. You occasionally remember a rusted, straight razor. But these are merely fragmented data packets from an outdated operating system, safely quarantined behind firewalls of superior programming. The massive oak door to your study opens softly. Your chief lieutenant, a man who acts exactly like a perfectly tuned algorithm, steps inside. "Boss," he says, his voice devoid of any tonal variance. "We have a critical vulnerability in the shipping logistics. An older associate was caught leaking smuggling schedules to the federal authorities, hoping to secure an immunity deal. Standard protocol dictates an immediate public execution to restore total discipline." "Why are you disturbing my analysis with standard protocols?" you ask, your eyes never leaving the export manifests on your massive desk. "Execute the protocol." "Boss, the associate requested a final audience. He claims a historical connection." You pause. The concept of a traitor requesting an audience is a statistical anomaly. "Bring him." Two massive enforcers drag a broken, terrified, graying man into your pristine study. The man is bruised, hyperventilating, and clutching his ribs. He wears cheap tweed and smells of stale sweat and profound terror. He looks like a withered ghost of the boy who shared the small heath mud decades ago. "Please!" your old friend screams, collapsing onto the Persian rugs. "Please, I didn't want to do it. The authorities, they found out about my family's debts. They were going to take everything. I just gave them old schedules. Please!" The man reaches into his torn pocket with desperate hands. The enforcers step forward, calculating the threat potential, but he doesn't produce a weapon. He pulls out a small, severely rusted straight razor with a cracked bone handle. "My father gave this to me," your old friend chokes out, holding the razor up like a frail shield against a hurricane. "We survived the smog together. We nearly died in that alleyway together. You know me, please, for the old days." The enforcers look to you, anticipating the inevitable nod of termination. The silence in the cavernous study is absolute, broken only by the crackling of the massive fireplace and the pathetic, ragged breathing of the man on the floor. You look at the rusted razor. According to every algorithm governing your dominion, the man is an informant. According to the unforgiving mathematics of the criminal underworld, treason must be met with catastrophic violence to maintain structural integrity. If you commute the sentence, you introduce an unpredictable variable. You introduce mercy. You validate the virus of empathy, the very flaw that you systematically ripped from your own chest to ascend to the throne. You look at the razor. You look at the man's terrified eyes. For the first time in 20 years, the processing unit stutters. A critical error flashes in the supercomputer of your mind. You feel a sudden, suffocating pressure in your throat, a phantom vestige of humanity desperately trying to bypass the heavy encryption of your sociopathy. You stand up slowly. You walk over to the broken man. You reach down and take the cold, rusted razor from his trembling hand. The material feels completely foreign against your perfectly tailored suit. You look at your lieutenant. His face is a blank slate, waiting for the binary command. "Put him on a ship," you say. Your voice sounds unnatural. It sounds brittle, as if the steel inside you is finally fracturing. Transfer him to the new territories in America. Cover his family's debts from the shadow accounts. Then tell him if he ever returns to this country, the protocol will be executed. The man collapses in pure shock, sobbing hysterically as the enforcers drag him out of the room. You stand alone in the cavernous, silent study. You are the undisputed sovereign of the criminal underworld in Britain. You have destroyed political careers, manipulated police forces, and built an empire of pure, unadulterated fear. But as you stand there, staring at the worn edges of the rusted straight razor, the horrific truth compiles in your mind. You realize the ultimate cost of optimizing the machine. You control the entire city, and you are entirely, completely empty.